All right, hey there, everyone, and welcome to the first episode ever of OTB On the Break, presented by the good people over at Cartilage Free Captain, which is SB Nation's premier destination for all things Tottenham. My name's Jon, and today with me we have our master tactician and Canadian specialist, Andres. How are you, sir?
Hey, Jon, I'm doing good. Hey, everyone. I don't know about Master Tactician. Just here to chat about Spurs, especially after a win. Can't wait to dive into it, honestly.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be fun. Each week, we're going to deliver short videos on all things Spurs and basically offer our different opinions. And more importantly, we want to hear from you as well. So feel free to like, comment, and let us know what you think. All the good and the bad. We're pretty thick-skinned. So let's kick this thing off. And today we're doing our match review, just to kind of round things out. Spurs went into Villa to get a job done. They did just that. It wasn't pretty. I don't think it was spectacular in any way, but we needed the clean sheet, and we got it with a 2-0 win. We saw several roster changes, obviously. As was promised and was forecasted from the days leading up, including we saw Eric Dyer and Harry Winks, unsurprisingly, dropped completely from the match day squad. And instead we saw the likes of Carlos Vinicius, as well as Rodon and Tanganga. And, you know, all three of them were superb, so great moves on that end. And, yeah, I mean, so I think just to kick things off, maybe we should address the Mourinho-sized or the Mourinho ego-sized elephant in the room, and whether you like the plan or not. It seemed to be well executed. They went in, played Jose ball, and won. Harry Kane said they needed to show or make a statement with their actions on the pitch. So my first question is for you, Andres, is do you feel like a statement was made for you? Do you feel like there was obviously some sort of improvement? Did you see what you wanted to see out of that performance?
Yeah, I think it's a very complicated question. I would say no. I don't think this was a statement, so to speak, but it was a stabilizing win. And I think you hit the nail right on the head. This was not a spectacular win. We did not play Villa off the park. They're a good side this year, so no surprise there. I would tell the players to, not get too amped because this wasn't a phenomenal win, right? At the same time, it was the win that Spurs needed, right? They need a win just to stabilize the ship just a little bit. And hopefully this is something that they can build off of. Individually, the players played pretty well. I mean, the likes of Gio Lo Celso have played very little football for the last 3 months. So no surprise it took him a little bit of time to get going. But there were some great performances out there. I mean, Jon, before we started recording, you were talking about how Tanganga was playing extremely well, right? Especially for being a youth player, being thrown in on that right side. Rodon played really well. I was talking about how Sanchez played really well. These are things that we'll dive into a little bit more, but it was just interesting, Jon, that you threw in that Tanganga name first. It seemed like he really stood out to you.
Yeah, it is interesting, and what I found probably most interesting with him, and not just now, but over time, is where he's been. I think every match where we see Doherty just constantly, fail to cover. I get, he had a rough time getting over COVID. I think that's probably been underplayed a little bit. I think he's definitely had a tough time bouncing back from that, and just in general. You wonder where Tanganga's name is on Mourinho's list of priorities, because every single time the kid plays, he seems to have a presence about him. He doesn't seem to lose the ball easily. He's not afraid to go forward. It's almost what's the word? Completely and utterly surprising every time I see it, and I see Doherty's name above his on the team sheet. So for me, when he came out, when I saw the match day squad and I saw his name right there, I was excited because I knew this would be an opportunity for him to definitely win over Mourinho a little bit, and I think he did just that.
I think he also, to expand on your point, I'm sure you saw the Amazon documentary. But him talking about how much it meant to him to play for Tottenham, right? And then you see these types of performances, or his debut against Liverpool, and you see a type of effort that he puts forth. And I saw a GIF of this when I believe it was Barkley who took a shot on goal, and Sissoko, kind of almost lazily like stuck a leg out to try to block the shot. And you see Japhet Tanganga sprinting in, sliding to block the shot.
Yeah.
And I think that's exactly the type of mentality, of grit, of heart that Spurs have been lacking over the last couple of games. And I'm so glad that Mourinho now is giving these chances to these players that may not have like a huge price tag, right? But they have those intangibles that show in the way that they play.
Yeah. Do you know who else who had a nice potentially goal-saving block towards the end there?
Who?
Davinson Sanchez.
People
forget.
There you go.
People forget. He's only 24.
Do you think that Davinson Sanchez has a really good opportunity to make himself a stalwart in the Tottenham defense? I don't think it's going to happen this season. Might not happen next season, but the quality is there. He does have like this knack of fouling players, being overly aggressive sometimes. Other times he'll have some phenomenal tackles, like a last-ditch tackle he had against, I believe, Trezeguet, where he regained the ball literally like 1 inch off of the line. So I do think that he's still got a big part to play for us. You were going to say something.
No, it's fine. What would you say is the average age of a defender to come into their own? Like to finally hit that world-class stage? Like how many 20, 21-year-old defenders do you see all of a sudden hit that world-class stage?
Yeah, I know exactly why you're asking me. Well, Davinson he's 24, right?
He just turned 24.
Just turned 24. Exactly. I mean, it's really interesting because I do think like the likes of Varane and I can't think of any other younger central defensive players, but that probably just proves your point. It's very rare that a player will reach the peak of their ability in central defense at 22 or at 23. Even De Ligt, who went to Juve, is struggling there, right?
Yeah.
And he was hyped up to be the next, Maldini, right?
Yeah.
So I do think that you have a really good point there. And I think
some of the best defenders you see are the speedy ones, right? The Trent Alexanders,
right.
And those are the only ones you really see under the age of 25 that have really blossomed. I mean, he's 24 years old. He just turned 24. He's getting national experience whenever that opportunity comes up. He's oozing with talent. It's there. He's going to make mistakes. Like maybe we should just come to terms with that. He's going to make mistakes, but he will also get better as he gets these matches in. Now, Rodon almost seemed just as solid. Which every time I see this kid, I like him more and more. Yes, I get he made a mistake against Liverpool, which was a very costly game for us. It was a very emotional game for the fan base, particular, and I get that. And basically, and this is one of the biggest criticisms of Mourinho, is that he basically iced Rodon out after that match. When have you seen his name since? Since that Liverpool match, and so for him to step up was really great. So I think our defense as a whole played well, but again, it wasn't the toughest challenge, right?
Right.
It really was. You're talking about a Grealish-less, which, not for no all respect to Aston Villa, it's a toothless attack with Grealish is out of there. They're not offering that much. Trezeguet's, he actually created a lot of space for himself. His shots were just awful. His final passing was awful, but he did create a lot, and Villa created a lot. They just couldn't capitalize. Those first 25 minutes of the match were, I wanted to claw my eyes out because I was like, oh, shit, here we go again.
Those were like that first part of the match was definitely like, okay, nothing has changed at Spurs.
Right.
They're talking about, we got to make a statement, blah, 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 but literally nothing has changed, right? And I do think it does take quite a bit of mental sheer will to start off a game like that and then turn it around, because by the time that we scored the second goal and it was like, the 80th, 85th minute, we were playing a lot better. and we definitely grew into the game. But it's just that age-old adage of, why do we have to wait to grow into the game? Why can't we start on the front foot? And I get that maybe that's too high of too big of an ask after the last couple of games.
That's a football thing. You see it for
that's
every
still
match.
something that's been asked by Spurs fans for years of this team.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think the one thing that wasn't really spoken about all that much yesterday, just because everybody was really impressed with some of the other guys, we'll get into Vinicius as well. But Lucas, I think he's really starting to not starting to. We've seen this, right? We've seen this. But you brought up a good point when we were talking offline, and so I'll defer to you. But in his 150th appearance, which I didn't realize till after the match, his 150th appearance, he seems to just be the key to unlocking our attack when it does flow well. It always seems to start with him. I'll let you take it away because you had a really good point. I don't want to take it from you. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely good. And first and foremost, I can't believe that he's already played 150 games with us. I feel like he is one of those players that is quite divisive in the sense that I'm sure some people out there think, man, he's already played 150 games for us. Like, Jesus Christ, get this man out of the club. There's some other people, and I'm guessing there's a lesser amount, that would think that, this is just the beginning of his, well, maybe not just the beginning, but he's got many more games to play at Spurs. So within that, there's a certain frustration, I think, with Lucas in general, because he loses the ball a lot, at least historically. And one thing that I noticed, and I wrote about this in one of my articles, and I'll link it down below for anyone who wants to read up on it, is that he was used as the traditional winger because he's very speedy, right? He can theoretically knock the ball into space, etc. That said, playing him on the right side as a winger actually limited his capacity to pass the ball well and to dribble past players, because he was so further up in attack that he had less space to dribble into. His short passing was more inaccurate because there were more players surrounding him. Granted, these are, if there is a world-class player in that side, of course, they make it work. But it's interesting that over the last couple of matches, Mourinho has brought him back a bit, right? And now you see him not just centrally and almost like in the number 10 role, but also dropping back quite a bit. And he is doing this now because I believe that Mourinho has seen his dribbling capacity and is now using it in a space or in a position where Lucas has more space, can be more expansive. And that's literally the reason why on a couple of times that Spurs had possession, that's how they beat Aston Villa's press. It would be Lucas coming back, dribbling around his marker, and then all of a sudden it's a counter-attacking opportunity for Tottenham because everyone else on Aston Villa is on the back foot. So it is super interesting that Mourinho, for all the heat that he gets for being a dinosaur and having outdated tactics, I think he's done a pretty good job of trying to make people fit in other roles or other places within the pitch to make their strengths, shine more. We saw that earlier in the season with Son and Kane, and their amazing chemistry, right? And now we're seeing a little bit of that with Moura.
Yeah, it's interesting because Kane would be the one to actually drop back and then try to receive it and be able to unlock that pass to unlock our attack. But then he switched it up. He said, "Well, Kane's not finding anybody. Let's bring Moura in." Now Moura wasn't finding that key pass. What he did, he was just like, "Well, if we can't find that final pass, I'm going to take this up myself and try to stop the flow there," which is what he did for almost both goals. And interestingly enough, both goals came off of getting the ball back after dispossession, which is not something Spurs have done very well this year. But they did do that yesterday, which was nice to see. It wasn't It wasn't the classic Dele yelling at somebody because he lost the ball, or it was.
I know. I can literally imagine Dele, flailing his arms up.
He goes like
and
this.
Classic Dele fashion.
Usually to like Son or somebody who's not going to stand up for himself. If we can move on to, I want to talk about the penalty real quick. I was looking at it. I think I almost feel bad for Matt Cash. Everybody calls him Matty Cash. For what happened, only because there was a little veteranship in that penalty. It was a little Harry Kane leaving the ball behind and running, knowing that the dive was coming.
Right.
I think he almost left the ball behind because he didn't even want there to be an argument of whether or not he got the ball. So it was. I mean, look, he absolutely took him out. It's a foul all day, and just like if you want to talk about karma, after some of the calls we've gotten against us, fine, I'll take it. But that aside, we were mostly. I thought it was fine. I guess I just think it was more of a veteran thing. You can go into the logistics of if this is good for football. We don't have to get into it. But what did you think about the penalty?
I mean, I think it was stone cold. I think you're a very nice person for feeling bad for Matty Cash, but I do wish actually that we would have seen that second goal come from open play. I really, really do, because I do think that, yes, I'm glad that we won, and I'm glad that Kane got his goal and it's a penalty, whatever. But it would have been easier to tell or conclude that this was a statement by Spurs if they scored a goal, just one, and held out or kept playing and chasing the goal, right? Even if they did not get the second goal,
right.
Or they created enough opportunities to create that second goal from open play. That would have been, to me, a statement. But a second goal coming from a penalty, we had like 2 or 3 other shots on goal, which is fine. But that's why going back to your original question, I'm not convinced that this was, hopefully this was not the Spurs players being like, this is us, because that's a top 7 performance, if that, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, look, I think the difference between this match and other matches is, yes, we scored a second goal. It could have easily been 1-0. Could have easily ended 1-0 if that didn't happen. But we looked better in the second half, which was
true.
I remember even in our group chat on for Cardi Free, people are like, do we look good? Is that really happening? And yeah, we did. We actually looked better. Again, we played a very undermanned and underwhelming Aston Villa side, but still got to get the job done. All right, and with that, I think that's where we're going to close it out. Thank you so much for joining us this week in our first, what's going to be many post-match reviews. Make sure you let us know how you felt about the match. Like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. From Andres, you say bye.
Oh, bye. Didn't realize that was my cue. Bye, guys. Thanks.
From Jon, thanks so much. We'll see you next week.